Hey guys, it's Neil again from Heart of Texas Armory, and today I'm bringing you another watch review. And today we're going to be talking about this budget-priced field watch from Timex. This is the Timex Expedition Scout. And you'll see I have the blue dialed version. There are a number of other versions. You can check their website. I'll have a few pop up right now just to kind of give you an overview of what you can get in this Expedition Scout lineup. But I've got the blue dial variant here, you see, with the leather strap. Very nice. So this watch here, for about $40, it offers quite a bit of watch for the money. Overall, I really like it. There are some big negatives that we'll talk about, but overall, for $40, I can't really complain too much. But let's start off with the specs for this watch. You're looking at a case diameter of 40 millimeters, which is just about the perfect size, in my opinion, for a field watch. Not too big, not too small. It's going to fit pretty much anyone's wrist size. So that was a win. Your lug width is also nice, being 20 millimeters, a standard size that you're going to find pretty much any type of strap available in that lug width. A lug to lug here, fairly short, of 48 millimeters. So again, it's going to fit most wrist sizes. And then you got a case thickness of only 10.5 millimeters, which is nice. So this watch is going to wear very flat on the wrist. The weight is also fairly lightweight. With the strap, I'm getting 62 grams with this particular watch here. So that's pretty lightweight. You've got a water resistance rating of 50 meters, so you should be good for, of course, rain. If you're out hiking or something like that, it's not going to harm this watch. I would be careful probably taking it in the pool. It probably would be fine, but anything more than a pool, say 2 or 3 feet deep, I would probably recommend you not to go any deeper than that with this watch on. It might survive, but the 50 meters is in my opinion, just 3 foot or less in water, underwater. You've got a battery with this watch of a CR 2016, so a very common button battery. That's going to give you a battery life of well over 5 years is what I'm seeing on this, between 5 and 8 years most likely. So very good battery life. And it also has a flat mineral crystal, which is also another positive. So it's going to be fairly scratch resistant. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty cool watch. We'll talk about the positives and negatives here. Let me just kind of show you the watch here. I'm going to bring it in a little closer so you can see the dial. There we go. So it's got a real cool color of blue. It's like a dark kind of navy blue. It's a well-designed watch. It looks good. From a distance, it looks like it costs more than it actually does. You can see the engraving here on the back. It's well done. Nothing special. You don't have a signed crown, but everything is just better than what you would expect. But as for the case, what you're looking at here is a plated brass. So that's one of the reasons why they're able to reach this price point, is this is not a 100% stainless steel case. That's a little bit of a negative. We'll go over that more in a little more detail here later. But here's a kind of a look at the side profile so you can see how thin this watch is. So it's only 10.5 millimeters, so very thin profile. And let me go ahead and put it on my wrist so you can see what it looks like on the wrist. And today I'm wearing my Shark Army quartz watch. You can check that out, a video review on my channel if you're interested. Let me swap over to the Timex here. Bear with me 1 second, guys. There we go. So we'll put it on the wrist here for you guys so you can see what it looks like. So there's a look at the Timex Expedition Scout on my wrist. 7-inch wrist is what I have. Very comfortable. Fits really nice. It's surprisingly comfortable. That 62 grams is very lightweight, so it's not like a boat anchor on your wrist. That 10.5 millimeters is going to lay flat, so it's going to fit under your sleeves if you need to, if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt or something like that. It's not going to cause any problems there. Just very comfortable wearing watch. So the dial you'll see is that blue color. The version I have here, it's very pretty. It's not a sunburst, it's just a straight flat dial. You'll notice the dial is a little busy because you do have the 24-hour times as well on there, and quite a bit of text where it says, Timex Expedition, Indiglow, water resistant, just a lot of text. You got a date complication here that you can quick change. But And the strap here is worth talking about. It's a quality strap. I mean, it's leather. It's fairly supple. There's really no break-in period with this strap here. Looks good. It's kind of a distressed kind of look, vintage-looking strap. There's really no complaints with it. You've got quite a bit of adjustments here, so you can see you can fit a variety of wrist sizes with this leather strap if you order this version. So let me get it off my wrist here, and we'll go over the positives and negatives of this watch and close this video review out. So let's talk about the positives first. So right off the bat, you'll notice it's definitely a nice looking watch, particularly for the price of $40. To me, it's going to compare in looks with like a Seiko 5 or even some of the higher end field watches that are available. There are some from Marathon or Hamilton. From a distance, it's gonna look pretty good. When you get up close, you'll notice some of the corners have been cut, but it's overall a nice looking watch. Just a classic design as well. If you're in the market for a military style or field watch, for under $50, it's definitely a good option, this Timex Expedition Scout. The dimensions are nice. I think that 40 millimeter case size, the 20 millimeter lug width, and the short 48 millimeter lug to lug are all excellent dimensions. Again, it's going to fit pretty much anyone's wrist size, so that's a positive. The watch also features Timex's really cool and really effective Indie Glow, and you should be seeing a pop-up right now showing that in action, and it is really spectacular. Of course, that does burn a little bit of battery when you run that, but when you need to read your watch when it's dark outside, it's one of the best ways to do that. The Timex Indie Glow is excellent. Again, the leather strap is also very comfortable. I really like it. All right, guys, I'm back here. Sorry about that. So we'll continue on with the positives here. We'll talk about the crown, which I think is well done. Let me bring it in for a little more detail here. You'll see it right there. It's a nice looking crown, even though it's not signed, but it has that kind of 3D effect with that bevel right there. And then the texture on it is well done. It's very well machined. It's easy to grip onto when you need to change the time. So that's definitely a positive as well. And also the crown is quite, the watch, excuse me, is quite comfortable on the wrist, which I've mentioned before, but that's definitely one of the positives. Now, the negatives, unfortunately, there's going to be quite a few of them. So again, this is a $40 watch, so you have to expect, negatives with a watch in this price range. But right off the bat, I'll mention the ticking is really loud. Timex watches are, particularly their quartz watches, are just known for being loud on the ticking, and this one is particularly loud. It's one of the loudest ticking quartzes that I've heard. It's bad enough where I would never have this by a bed at night because it would keep me up. It's that annoying. You're not going to hear it when it's on your wrist and you're just walking around town or something like that. But when you bring it up close, you're going to definitely hear that ticking. Or if you're in a quiet environment, you're probably going to hear the ticking as well. So that's a negative. Another negative is that this is not a stainless steel case. I mentioned that earlier. What this is it's some type of plating over brass. And that's a negative because, when you wear through the plating, you're going to see brass under it. Sometimes that can age and look pretty good, but this watch here, I would really prefer it to be in stainless steel. And then also that brass is probably contributing to that loud ticking because brass is very resonant and it's going to behave almost like a bell. You always see, bells made out of brass or bronze, and that's because they resonate, just better than any other alloy or steel. So the brass here, I'm thinking, plays a key in that loud ticking as well. You'll notice too, let me bring it in here and you'll see the ticking of the seconds hand. It's kind of quirky. You can see how it kind of bounces around when it hits and it kind of has a little back play on it. I've noticed that a lot on quite a few Timex watches, but I have to put that in a negative. I don't really particularly care for that. I know it doesn't affect the accuracy of the watch, and it's just part of this watch's quirks, but that seconds hand, it just looks cheap when I see it bounce around like that. I like a quartz watch that is more precise on its ticking. So I'll mention that as a negative as well. Now, the dial also I'll put as a negative because it does look good with that blue color, but it is a bit busy in my opinion. I feel there's just too much text with the 12-hour embassies. You got the 24-hour markings. You've got the day complication. You've got quite a bit of text on the dial. It's just too busy. And then you can see all the minute markings as well. It just looks a little busy in my opinion. Now, I know that's part of the style of a military style watch like this, but I will mention that. Another thing I'm not a big fan of is the gear ratio. What I mean by that is when you go to set the time, you'll notice, see, I'm spinning this thing fairly fast, and you're gonna have to sit there and crank that for a long time to get it to go to the hour that you want to set to. So the gear ratio is just too low. Now that's nice because you can have good control, setting your watch, but if you're wanting to go multiple hours, that low gear ratio is going to frustrate you, at least while you're setting that time. Another complaint with the movement here is it's very difficult to kind of catch that detent to change the date. So for instance, I got it there. You can see I'm flipping through for the quick change of the date, but there are times when it's too easy to pop out to the time set detent. The date complication one is a little hard to catch, so I'll mention that too. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine. And then I feel the date window which is nice. It's nice to have that, but it's very small, and it can be hard to read occasionally. So, when you're have it on your wrist, from a distance, it's very difficult to read that. You're gonna have to bring that watch pretty close to your face to be able to read what date it is, and I find that kind of annoying as well. And then the last thing I'll mention here, the hands are loomed. It's very poor loom, but the rest of the watch is not loomed, none of the markings at all. Now, that doesn't really matter because you have the Indiglo feature we talked about, but it's weird to me that they loomed the hands. It's really not necessary on this watch and just doesn't make sense to me, so I'll mention that as well. But overall, I'll go ahead and close this video review out. I definitely like this watch. I think it looks really good on the wrist. It wears very comfortable. And for the amount of money you spend to get one of these, I feel it's worth it. For 40 bucks, there's not really any better options out there. If you're able to get a Seiko 5 field watch for about this price, maybe you catch one on sale, I'd probably recommend you go with one of those. But Timex is a good brand. They've went down in quality, in my opinion, in the late 90s into the early 2000s. But here recently, over the last 5 years or so, Timex has really improved on their quality. And again, this is not a high-end watch by any means, but for what it is, I definitely would recommend you check them out. The good thing is they're available just about everywhere. You can pick these up at Walmart, Target, just any type of retail store is probably going to have a good selection of Timex watches. So you can go in, take a look at it, and see if it appeals to you. You can take one home for 30 to 40 bucks, which is not a bad price. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you got any questions or comments on this watch, leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Once again, this is Neil at Heart of Texas Armory. Y'all guys take care. I'll catch you on the next one.